Yo, we're here. Welcome, everyone. It's another Tuesday afternoon. Noon. Tuesday afternoon. It's Roll for Mischief time. And we are going to be wrapping up this episode 12. This is the sixth and final session. Um, Little round of applause to Carrie for taking on her first DMing appointment in Roll for Mischief and doing a pretty spectacular job, I would say. It's been a wild ride in Finnegan's Finporium. So, um, anyone have any special announcements that they would like to make?
Kyle, you gotta fix your name.
Yep.
How did I miss that?
Fix my name while you're at it.
No, I
I'm not
fixed
gonna.
yours. I
Oh,
just
well, good,
didn't
'cause I'm not gonna
fix
fix it.
mine.
I don't like
That's
fixing stuff, guys. I don't
okay.
like-
We already knew that.
Oh, okay.
All
As
right,
long as you know.
all fixed.
Yay!
Um, let's go ahead and roll those credits. I think it might be my favorite intro credits that I've put together so far. I'm calling it a little walk down memory lane. Here we go. Hey, it's Finnegan again. You know, we're getting close to the end here. This is pretty much the last session. And, you know, instead of messing with anything, let's just go ahead and take a nice stroll down memory lane together. Oops.
I rolled a 20.
Bada bing, bada boom! I'm here, your favorite wizard! You got it, Kyle? You got it, you got it.
Ooh, does battle music start to play?
As I cast Polymorph on myself and transform into a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What?
There it is. I knew that was gonna happen.
What?
Cool. Yeah. People on Twitch here, they're watching us. Like, come on, we gotta put on a show. Like, just don't worry about it, dude. Like,
Which?
it's fine.
Ooh, I'm not upset with anyone, just as long as you don't listen to me.
I throw my stick at the dragon. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that.
Um,
So I got 18 total.
I'm so sorry.
What?
That's fine.
Are you kidding me?
My secret, Igna. I always have Polymorph prepared.
It's the final countdown. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. All right, wasn't that fun, guys? Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. What? I We were just talking about how I overreact, but react maybe in just the appropriate way sometimes. So anyhow, now we're going to move on to group therapy, a chance to check up with our characters, see how they are feeling emotionally about current events, and talk about kind of what happened last session. Who wants to start?
Not it.
Go on then. So, Halifax is finding that this whole Demogorgon's the wrong word. Dahaka thing.
Dahaka.
Yes, the snake thing. Excuse me. Sorry, I just downloaded Lucasade. Halifax finds the encounter with the Dahaka rather chilling. The fact that such an ancient and foul creature can just set upon them like that and expend most of the party's resources, almost wipe them out, and cast its illusion so convincingly. It's sort of made him start to doubt his own capabilities. So going through these chambers, he's hoping that at the end of it, given the iconography involved, it's a hope that he has that it's some kind of force for good. And it is a fear that he has that the Dahaka was the tip of the iceberg and that some other fouler thing, or perhaps even the Dahaka again, might be at the end of this trail, just ready to pounce and get them. So he's trepidatious right now. He's certainly looking around in awe and wonder at all the things that he's seeing, and this whole set of scales thing is troubling him because he's concerned that the sacrifice might need to be something more real than he's offered so far, and that's something he's concerned about. Yeah, that's where Halifax is at.
Word. I guess I'll go with Egner. Egner, is in a very, I guess I want to say kind of like robotic kind of place right now because he's been so mentally overwhelmed that he doesn't really, he doesn't have the energy to like process it at all. He can't process like what he's been going through and the whole like epic stakes of it all and what that creature actually was, and also Halifax turned into a T-Rex, and so much stuff has happened. He feels like he's either in a dream, in a nightmare, in an elaborate illusion, or yes, this is reality, but reality has become something that he can't even like accept anymore in this kind of like basic cognitive level. Like he just doesn't get what's happening. So he's just kind of robotically making the motions and moving through the situation. And yeah. I was just like just grabbing on something else and it kind of left my mind. As far as the sacrifice that needs to be made, he's thinking if giving his blood was not enough, he would be willing to like sacrifice himself as well, but also he's just not even considering that. He's thinking he needs to give up something that's incredibly valuable to him, which is his shield. Which, if you know anything about Egner, having a shield is kind of a big deal to him, so that would probably be his move.
Should I go?
Sure.
Asa can finish eating.
Also, I missed the last hour of the last game, so I'm like still playing catch up.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
One thing I completely forgot to do last session, pretty much the entire time, was have Leah's emotions do anything. But I think for the most part, her emotions were about the same as everyone else's anyway, like adrenaline from the fight, just trying to puzzle things out afterwards, that kind of thing. A couple notable exceptions would be the stabs of pure embarrassment every time something happens inside the hamster ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the hamster ball of embarrassment. And but by the time we're going through these rooms, at least in this last one, for sure, she is starting to feel really anxious because she doesn't think that going into another room is worth anyone sacrificing their life. But she's not sure how her companions are going to interpret that. She doesn't know any of them well enough to know, not even Eridu, well enough to know if they would also not even be entertaining that idea or if they would be. And so she, at first opportunity, she will try to say something, but she's also a little concerned that someone's going to just act without telling anyone, or I don't know what that would look like.
No way. No one would ever do that. No.
And she also is not doing very well processing what happened, although I think at this point she is pretty sure that the cult thing was in fact an illusion, because she's been able to kind of piece together that this snake has continued to try to put illusions on them. And the reappearance of the hallways helped with that as well. But hopefully this next conversation will help to like cement that. And that's Leah.
Well, I have finished eating, so that's good. Eridu's been staring at the wall like a zombie for a while now, just sacrificing what now? Okay, but at this point in time, I think there's a lot Eridu could sacrifice. And he's just come out of this whole timeline where he sacrificed his friends and his sister for a future he didn't even want. So I think on one hand, he's more willing to sacrifice himself, but that's more of a selfish fear of the choice that he could potentially make in the future, rather than as like a willingness to better himself by giving up something that he's attached value to. And as far as the Dahaka stuff, I mean, he was rolling along, pretty happy to punch a snake when he came out of his terrible future. So when that finished, I mean, I wasn't even here, so I don't know exactly what happened there. When that finished, he was faced up with the sacrifice question. So I guess it's just down to, man, he's at a low point. He's rethinking a lot of the choices he's made in life, and I think this is a time where Eridu is really devaluing himself. I'm gonna grab gumballs.
All right.
Join the club, dude.
You can't has. You're a dog.
All of our characters are like depressed and kind of wanting to sacrifice themselves because they're depressed, kind of.
Oh man.
A little bit.
Suicide cult.
No colds here.
No colds here. No, none of those. No. All right. Well, Carrie, take it away.
All right. I will do a quick little recap of the last couple of rooms, just for anyone missed it. So after killing the snake, the party ventured through the first door that was wreathed in flames. They passed through, taking some fire damage, but otherwise seemed fine. They ended up on the next room, which was so in each room there's artwork of ASMRs generally fighting wars, and there's always an inscription above the door. So the first room, well, the first door basically said, "Be you not of hellish born from the flames." I can't remember, I've not got the page up. But the next door, they worked out that they had to cast some light as they walked through and passed through. The next room, they had to hit essentially one of those games in a fairground where you have to like hit the mallet really hard on the thing and then hit the bell.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny because Egner rocked it, and then he just went through, and then like it turned out that each person had to pass it, and yeah, it was just a complicated thing. Egner should have stayed, but he was like, "Oh, okay, cool, bye."
Yeah, and then Halifax turned it into a...
Halifax worked really hard. We all appreciated him.
Yeah.
And managed to get everyone through. And they have ended up in the room that they are in now. This room shows an ASMR goddess bowing her head and having her wings removed in a sacrificial manner in the artwork on the walls. There is another white flamed door with the words, "One who gives the greatest sacrifice," above it, written in Celestial. In the center of the room, there's a set of scales made of a golden light. They sit in an equal state, and on one of the plates is a pure white feather. While trying to make their way through this room, Halifax tried stabbing himself in ape form with Agnes' sword, and it resulted in his shoulder blades being horrifically burnt. And was that it? Yeah. And then Agnes tried to cut his hand and put some blood on the plate of the scale and suffered the same fate.
Mm-hmm.
And then Halifax tried to reach in and take the feather, or move the feather, and his hand has blackened just up past his wrist.
So we can't, like, cheat our way out of this, is essentially what's going on.
Basically. And then you had decided that you were going to have a long rest here and think about how to proceed.
And that's where we're at. I'm pretty sure we left off with Egner eating beef jerky and grumbling. And, yeah.
Leah's going to have a sudden thought. She's going to turn and speak to the room at large and say, we can all agree that no one's going to sacrifice themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was thinking about it, but, no, that just seems like a stupid idea. Stupid. Yeah, not tactical at all. Stupid.
The previous challenges have required us to all do our own part. I think that if one of us were to sacrifice ourselves, it wouldn't do any good for anyone else. So, yes, that will not be an option.
Quite agreed. It seems to be that the sacrifice needs to be something worthwhile, something that means an awful lot to that person sacrificing. When I gave a sacrificial offering of blood, the heart of the great ape, it did not work at all. And in fact, I seem to have been punished for it.
Yeah, my blood wasn't good enough either.
Maybe it's just that it wasn't enough. You have a lot of blood. If you give just a little bit, well, you're not going to miss it. Maybe if you gave a hand or maybe your eyes.
Stop making sense, Eridu.
Just
Well,
no
perhaps-
lives. That's all I want an agreement on. No lives.
Yes, no lives.
It's not
That would
worth
be
it.
a foolish waste.
That's fair. Now, look, if we all just hunker down for a second and relax and try and eat some dinner, then, I don't know, maybe we'll come up with something, you know? I think we're just tired. I know I am. And 3 of us got swallowed by some kind of monster. Yeah, we deserve to relax a little bit after that.
Indeed. I must query, however. Let me help you get some of the food supplies out. What do you suppose is on the other side of that door?
Well, from what all of you have been telling me about these rooms that we've been going through, it sounds like a series of chambers in an Azamar temple or something. This seems to have some ancient roots in the history of your people, Halifax. And every temple has a sanctum, right? Has a site that is the holiest of holies. Maybe that's it. Now, as far as what's in there, I can't tell you shit about that.
Yes. I do just have a fear that one could be forgiven for considering that we might be walking into a trap. If we are being asked to prove ourselves and to sacrifice something, if that something valuable is something that would help someone survive an onslaught, perhaps this would be the best way to trap strong but vulnerable prey. I do just have my fears.
After everything we've experienced, I mean, nothing would surprise me. Nothing would, you know? But if it is a trap, then at least we'll have a little more of our strength back, and we can go into it with an amount of caution, with an amount of preparation.
A thought occurs. The wings being sacrificed in this tableau. My wings are not exactly physical. Nor does it seem is the feather. I do wonder about what it is that we're able to sacrifice here. Perhaps intangibles are possible.
It's a little beyond me.
Well, Leah's now radiating worry. So, thanks for that.
Eridu's kind of off in Eridu land, but he overhears Philifax a bit and says, "What do you know about Do you know anything about an Azamar sacrificing their wings? Is this a physical representation of an actual event, or just an artistic recreation of a metaphoric idea?"
It certainly has place in our legends. Would I be able to make a history check to see if this has ever actually happened in known record?
I'm pretty sure that you did that last time. 'Cause I
It
think
does
I
sound
gave
familiar.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think I gave the
I'll have to find
information. So I'll just tell you again, going off of what I told you last time. So the Ursama pictured is a kind of lesser god called Fania. I write these names and I don't bother trying to pronounce them after I write them. Who you know from your stories to have been instrumental in ending a great war long, long, long ago, before humans were a thing, like back when it was base races essentially to you guys. And it said that she sacrificed her life to essentially destroy a tiefling god to then bring peace to the world and save humanity, or ASMR humanity, I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like bringing back for you.
Okay. So beyond that, as a myth, there's no other instances that I can think of Azamar like sacrificing their wings or anything. Like, no. Okay.
No, I mean, I don't. Nothing like significant jumps out to you. It's kind of like you just kind of worked out. It almost doesn't seem quite logical because, like you said, they're not physical. So it's not something that is like known to have been done regularly or anything.
So to Eridu, I'll say it's something that's occurred in our myths and legends before, but no verified accounts. Nothing that any person's been able to corroborate. It seems almost impossible. Some strange feat that no one should be able to accomplish.
I mean, it's just a symbol then. It's just a metaphor. I mean, when you look at any kind of religion or set of beliefs like this, it's all based on symbols. You know? I mean, I don't think we're supposed to literally, like, rip limbs from our bodies to do this. But it represents something.
Something important to someone. I wonder. Towards the end of the long rest, I will get up and just walk slowly towards the scales, and I will bring to mind things that I think are important to me, and I will think about the magic ring that I have, all the scrapes that it's got me out of, the importance of having such a magical item. I'll then think about Tobias and how important he is to me. And then when I finally get to the scales, I'll think about what the Dahaka showed me. And that when it dove into my mind to show me the thing that would stop me in my tracks, it showed me Thiala. So I'll hold on to that memory of Thiala, and just like the wings being an intangible concept, I will think about Thiala and the love that I have for her as I place my blackened hand onto the other scale to the feather.
You feel it's almost like the energy has been pulled out of you. You can feel it like tingling all down through your arm and out through your fingertips. And as you're thinking about it, these memories start getting hazy, they fade, the colours aren't quite there anymore. And then you hit points where you feel like, I can't remember what happened after that, or what was said in that moment. And that those patches become more and more. And as you feel the energy stop flowing out of you, you're left with the name, but that name could be a guard that you came across once in a town that you were passing through. You can't even really pull a face up. You think it sounds like a woman's name, maybe, but and as you pull your hand away, the scales stay perfectly even, and the door across from you turns blue. The flames turn blue. To everybody else, the flames are still white. No one else can see the colour shift. And just to clarify, your hand is still black.
Okay.
Whoa.
Does anyone else see that?
No, Halifax. No, I don't.
Oh, my apologies, Agner.
No, it's fine. It's
The-
fine. Really, it's fine. He grumbles a little more.
No, but like
Um,
genuinely, like I've not thought much about how it would be spending time with someone who is blind, and just having Agner on the team is really getting me to think like how often I use sight as the go-to sense to describe things.
Yeah. There's some serious sight bias up in our culture, dude.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
I've taken that all as a Halifax rant.
isn't it
Because
possible? Oh, sorry. Were you gonna? What were you
I
gonna
was
say?
gonna say because Eridu and Leah are gonna fight. No, go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
I mean, they could. I was hoping that we could backtrack a little bit to the actual long rest, because this is the first time that Leah has had to do her personal ritual on screen, per se.
Ah.
While most people probably wouldn't notice because they'll be asleep or whatever, her emotions might bleed into people. So I thought it might actually have an
Yeah.
effect.
And Eridu would only be trancing as well. So.
Yeah.
And only for a few
Um,
hours.
Egner's asleep like a log and blind, so he's effectively out of it.
Leah would actually ask Eridu specifically if he would do his meditation now to like kind of put him at a remove from whatever she's doing. It's up to him whether he does it or not.
I think he can oblige that. There's no. He's pretty heavy in thought about the sacrifice thing.
Okay. So like for the first hour, she gets out a softbound book and writes in it, and is just basically reliving everything that just occurred in the dungeon. Most of those are memories of emotions, so they probably won't hit people. But at the end, while she's trying to process the cult nightmare, there'll be like heavy guilt and fear coming through. So that might seep into people's dreams or something. That will turn into just profound loneliness, which will be overwhelming for her. So I feel like that will definitely affect people in some form or another. That will last for a while, and then end in kind of a sense of resolution and even a little bit of hope. And then she will take her chainmail, her elven chain off, and her just like a very long sleeved high neck tunic that she'll also remove. She's still clothed. She's got like a shift and leggings on. But those are like her kind of metaphorical armor that she's taking off. And her arm and like her scars are bare. And she'll take out one of her daggers and a small jar and a roll of bandages and look at them and turn and look at Eridu and look down at her arm, and then with the sense of kind of resignation and confusion and a little resentment, she'll put them away. And then spend the next hour looking at her arm and silently saying the names of every person that's attached to every scar. And that's got more of a sense of mourning to it. Like she's mourning lost potential for herself and for them, that sort of thing. At the end of it, she's much more calm and like cleansed. And then she goes into like a proper meditation. And the last part of her ritual is like putting her armor back on, like brushing her hair, putting it back, and just kind of like asserting that she has control over herself. And she'll try to do that before everyone else like wakes up. But if people are awake, then she'll just be concentrating really heavily on that and not interacting.
That's a heavy ass ritual, yo.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, Egner, you don't have to worry about him noticing anything. In fact, he might even be providing a little bit of cover and distraction from his really annoying, like, snoring that's going on. It's like, seriously, like, you gotta, like, yeah, just, I was gonna say he's sawing logs, you know, it sounds like that. Yeah.
Halifax sleeps with his eyes open, kind of like a snake. He's weird that way.
That's really weird.
Alarming.
No one noticed this until now.
But yeah, so he'll just be staring at Aigner while trying to get to sleep, staring at the snoring man, just shooting daggers. And then eventually when Halifax does fall asleep, he's still staring at Aigner.
Oh my goodness.
I think Eridu's meditations are just occasionally interrupted by opening one eye and looking at Halifax, and then thinking, "You have picked the wrong person to have a staring contest with." No, but seriously, Eridu is kind of brooding, and he's thinking a lot about his past companions and Leah, and just how much her emotions seem to affect all the people around her, and that he's sort of brooding on old wounds. And one of the things that comes to mind is the fact that he spent a good chunk of his life very detached from emotions and from the Feywild. But he's just starting to put together kind of why that's happening. You know, he's mostly feigning a meditation while Leah's going through her ritual. He's not attempting to intentionally be invasive on what her ritual is doing, but he is like peripherally took it in, and is kind of aware that maybe she's part of the reason why he's been very detached from emotions up into coming into contact with On and having certain closenesses there. And when he finally does focus into his true meditation, he is pretty sure he knows exactly what he's going to sacrifice.
That's not terrifying.
He's just gonna push you into the statue. That's
Well, that would be unexpected.
He was like, I know we said no deaths, but I think you mean sacrifice, like suicide. I'm just gonna go for murder.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, okay, so we'll then jump to having Halifax done his sacrifice, stepping back, asking if the rest of you have seen the door change colour.
Mm-hmm.
Go from there.
Egner says his thing of like, "No, I didn't, Halifax," while he's still putting his clothes on, snapping his last couple of buckles on. Psh, grumble, grumble. I didn't.
My apologies, Heigner. It seems I've been quite insensitive. I see the door where once the flames were pale. It seems they've gone more of an aqua color, bluish.
Yeah, sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
They still look white to me.
I do recall approaching the scales and sacrificing something, but I can't quite remember what it was.
Well, whatever you did, I think it worked. I mean, for you, I suppose.
I
You should go through, I guess.
suppose. Yes. It might be that if I wait for the rest of you to sacrifice something of your own, then perhaps the door would close for me. I don't know. I will go through. I shall await you all there, my friends.
Do we have any way of communicating, like Ellie's little coin? Was it a coin?
Sending
Sending
stone.
So, yeah, sending stone. Sorry, I had a Harry Potter moment there.
I mean, what's his butt? Egner has one sending stone that's connected to a sending stone that's not here.
Well, okay, so we have no way of talking to each other. Okay.
Not really.
Ooh,
Does
that's something to maybe consider. I will leave Tobias.
Oh. Okay.
So I will go through, and if it counts as a completely different plane of existence, if all these rooms are like self-contained mini planes, then Tobias will lose contact with me and be able to say so, because he can say some words in common. And if not, and I maintain a connection to him, then yeah, I can
Listen
talk to you
in.
guys.
And you could
Yeah.
say, "Grah!" One grah means yes. Two grahs mean no. Yeah, no, I'm sure he can actually say some words though.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I guess maybe Egner will go next, because he's definitely been thinking about it.
So
Oh.
before that,
Oh,
we'll have
okay.
Halifax pass just in case.
Oh, for sure,
you
for
know.
sure. Yeah.
Covering bases. Um, so Halifax leaves Tobias and steps through the blue flames. It feels warm, but it's not too unpleasant. It doesn't hurt. And you step out on the other side, and you're in a corridor. There is more artwork on these walls. And so I'll just say that, I don't know, you stand sort of studying these artworks while you wait for your friends. You can see that the corridor is not too long, and you can see there's a door at the other end. This is more like a wooden door. It's not like the flame doors. And this corridor isn't quite as like decorative as the other rooms have been. Though it's still, the paintings are still there, and there are still the odd like statue down the corridor. Should I do that? I'll talk about the artwork now, and then you can be thinking about it. So the artwork that you can see in this room, so you can see again the same sort of lesser god, Fania, depicted in these paintings as well. And there is also a huge demonic-looking female tiefling. You recognize this as being sort of the legend that had come to mind before. However, it seems to be showing a slightly different story to what you have been told. This one instead shows the ASMR god capturing the tiefling god with radiant energy. And on other paintings around this one, it shows tieflings being controlled, it shows them being downtrodden, it shows ASMRs thriving while tieflings are in gutters and starving. It shows tieflings being used like slaves, shows their horns being cut off, so it takes away their sort of
Identity.
presence. Yeah. It's very different from the stories you were told and what the rest of your sort of like, what your knowledge of what people get taught in schools and in history books. And we're going to jump back to the other room, to the sacrifice room. So, Agnes, you're gonna...
Yeah, so Egner walks forward to where he heard Halifax in the center of the room, near the scales. As he walks forward, he unslings from his back his trusty shield that is adorned with dragon scales. That this shield that he got quite a long time ago. It was like 7 episodes ago or something. He's been trucking this thing around for quite a while. It's defended him well. Even just recently, in the most recent battle with the Dahaka, it took 2 blows from the stinger tail of that crazy snake. It saved his hide many a time, and he's also used it as a crushing offensive weapon. The amount of people he smacked upside the goddamn head with that thing is just it's amazing. So as he walks forward, he grips the shield in both hands, feeling its every scrape and scratch and rough edge of the thing, turning it over in his hands, thinking about all the times it must have saved his life. And he realizes that at the end of the day, it might just be a crutch for him, because he feels more and more that there is a divine being that can be his shield in a way that no physical object could be. But he still loves his shield, boy. So he goes forward, and thinking very much about how the shield has become such a part of his identity, he places it on the scale.
As you step back, the scale stays perfectly even. The shield starts to melt. You can see it drip down and around. It goes around the shape of the scale, even though it's kind of not really there. You can kind of see through the scales. And then the melted metal just sinks into the ground and disappears until that plate is left empty.
I bet there's a weird smell that comes off of that.
Yeah.
And he hears the dripping, goopy material, and he just he knows immediately. Okay, I think the shield's gone.
Yeah, that seems really permanent.
Yeah.
And then you feel a shift in energy in the room, and you feel almost, before you could feel that like enclosed space, you know, as if you were trapped inside a small
like kind of stuffy.
Yeah. But you now feel like as if someone's opened a window. You can feel this like direction of where you can go.
Well, he's
And it's towards the door.
yeah, for sure. Well, he's going to follow that draft, and he's going to just nod his head in the direction where he believes Eridu and Leah are, and he says, "We'll see you on the other side."
Kind of.
I mean, you won't, but
Wait, oh God, even I say this shit all the time. You know what?
Not if I see you first,
Yes.
which I will.
Old habits are hard to break, you know? All right. Well, Egner goes through, and then I'll go ahead and get on his character sheet and get rid of this shield. What? It's gone? You tell me it's really gone. Okay.
I
those
will
Storgle scales, wasn't it?
Yep, Sorgal scale shield. It's gone, dude.
I'm also going to point out, because I forgot to cover it, Tobias is still in the room.
Sweet. Can I still feel a connection to Tobias?
It feels like when he goes slightly out of range.
Ooh.
You know, where he still continues going, but you can't directly get that.
Okay, so we're at least 100 feet away, but he's not necessarily on a different plane of existence.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Leah, watching what Agner did, will she'll remove her chain shirt and be very worried about it. Although now that she's done her ritual and everything, you probably can't feel her emotions anymore because she's got a lot of control at first thing in the morning. But she'll take the elven chain off and look at it for a minute, and kind of hunch in on herself a little, but then she'll take it and place it on the scale.
So a similar thing happens. As you step back, the chains start to melt, pouring into the floor. They stay perfectly straight, the scales. And you see the door turn blue for you on the other side.
She'll kind of hug herself as she walks through.
Okay. And then there was Eridu.
Eridu looks around and realizes there's just him. And Tobias, but I mean...
Ah!
No, Eridu kind of, was waiting for Leah to go, just as a polite older brother. And then he steps up to the scale and says, "Sometimes the things we hold most dear only make us weaker." And he puts a hand on the scale, thinking, and not even thinking, but just focusing on his ability to connect with the Feywild, and momentarily phases into the Feywild while giving up his ability to travel in that way. The emotion and connection that he was able to establish through his relationship with On that allowed him to face step is now something that he is completely giving up. And in doing that, also giving up his connection with the Feywild.
Okay, that's like a way bigger deal than just like giving up Misty Step, dude.
It's a feat.
That's
Losing a feat.
whoa.
All right.
Damn,
Wow.
boy.
You feel it start to fade away. You can feel it almost being pulled from you. And the memories of it, the memory of how you were able to do it, all start fading until they're pretty much not there. Again, like you remember On, He was there. He exists. Exists. But you can't quite. When you try to think about how you knew him, how well you knew him, it's slippery. You can't quite get your fingers on it. And you feel it. You feel it's gone. You lose that ability. The scales stay completely straight, and the dart turns blue.
All right, I step through the door.
Okay.
I would also like to note a big part of that is giving up a bit of emotional connection
Mhm.
with the intention being the ability to not be as affected by Leah as
I would like to point out that Eridu has never been as affected by Leah in like a permanent sense, which she attributes to the fact that they're, twinsies. But she's been around him for a while and has like previously banked on the fact that she never seems to actually have a cultifying effect on him, which is why it was so terrifying when the thing happened in her head.
Yeah, turns out there's a reason for that. A very active reason on Eridu's part. That I just now realized.
I thought it was like a Cyclops Havoc type thing,
Cyclops and Havoc? What,
Yeah.
What about him?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, what about him, though?
They can't affect each other.
Oh. Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Because they're brothers.
Interesting. Well, alright, well, all of our characters have made some sacrifices. This is
I gotta
interesting.
remove my armor, so I'll be really squishy now.
Yeah, my AC dropped from 20 to 17 because I forgot that the scale shield, in addition to the shield AC bonus, it was magically enchanted to give you +1 AC as well. So yeah, that's a pretty significant drop, folks. But I did it for you. I did it for you, the viewers.
You guys give up stat-based things, and we give up memories and relationships.
Yeah, I know. It's not a contest. Stop trying to pretend like your sacrifice is better or anything. It's
No, mine
it's
is
a big deal.
because I gave up both.
This is a big deal to Egner, guys.
Look, I lost memories and a feat, man. I win.
Okay. All right. Well, my AC is 11 now.
Oh my
so
god.
I feel really good about this.
Shit.
Let's hope there's no more combat, yeah?
Well, actually, all right. So here's a good point because Egner earlier, when he had said well, if we are walking into a trap or whatever, then we'll be able to prepare. We'll be able to be cautious about it. So he's gonna make good on that kind of tactical advice, and then he's going to actually go over to Leah and put a hand on her shoulder and say, Yorana's blessing be with you. And he's going to spend a 2nd level spell slot to do Warding Bond. So you, Alex, get a +1 bonus to AC and saving throws, and you have resistance to all damage for the next hour. But when you take damage, I take the same amount of damage.
Oh, well, that's kind of you.
Yeah, for sure. But then on myself, because that's not a concentration one, on myself, I'm going to cast Shield of Faith.
Yay!
Wheel of Fortune. Shield of Faith.
When Agner is casting the spell on Leah, this is a good time for Eridu to come up with a plate of cookies or something and just insert himself between them.
Get out of here.
Walks over.
I'm trying to administer blessings and shit. Get out of here.
Oh,
I don't
is
get
that
the
what they call it? It's the Harry Potter when Ron comes and sits between Ginny and Harry Potter. And he just has a big plate of biscuits. I make a lot of Harry Potter references.
I'm going to have cast light on the end of my staff, and I'm going to be inspecting these paintings in the corridor as people come through the Stargate.
What do your Azamar eyes see? Halifax.
It appears to be a complete rewriting of my heritage and history.
I mean, basically.
Agna, follow the light here. Here we see...
Yeah, if you could just read it out loud for me, that'd be great.
Eridu, Leah, follow the light. Agna, pay attention.
Yeah.
Here we
yeah.
see Faya?
Fania. Like Faye, and then and
Yeah.
kind of like Enya. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fania.
Faya.
Fein,
With
yeah.
an N. There's an N.
And a Y.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fein.
Fein, yeah.
It's fine.
Fania. Okay.
Yeah.
Fein,
right.
yeah?
Here we see Fania, a minor goddess. In the previous room, she was shown sacrificing her wings. Part of the story is that she did so to defeat her rival. Here we see what I imagine is her rival, some sort of powerful tiefling. And yet, over here, we see scores of tieflings in slavery, operating under the Azamar. It appears that my people, according to these tableaus, enslaved and tortured tieflings.
Does that sound so out of the realm of possibility for you?
It's not beyond possibility, but it's different from what I was taught.
Yeah, I mean, if my, ancestors or whatever ended up being slave owners and slave drivers, yeah, I imagine they wouldn't want to put that into the history books for their children to read and all that. A little sweeping under the rug action.
But then, what is this place? If it's Azamar in origin, then it's either so ancient that this was recent history and not subject to intentional revision, or so blatant as to be almost barbaric, or it is that of an enemy, someone wishing to expose the darkness of the Azamar, wishing to keep a record of it. We are in uncertain ground.
Perhaps it is a place of subjugation where the tiefling were reminded over and over again of their failings.
That is also true. That is a possibility. The door ahead, it is wood. It is unlike the previous portals.
Oh, thank goodness. That means we don't have to sacrifice anything anymore, I think.
Hegner, you should break it down with your shield.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my shield is a pile of gloop by now.
Alright then. I guess I'll just shift through it.
Yes, I do. Misstep through the door.
It's easy. You do it all the time.
Oh yeah, barely an inconvenience. Right on that.
For sure.
Ooh, I think I actually have Misty Step though.
As you are talking about the door, Agna, with your extra keen hearing, you pick up sound on the other side of the door. Like you can hear everyone else too distracted, not really picking up on it. It's quiet. It's kind of muffled, but you can hear something on the other side of the door. You can do a perception check for me if you want to
Happily.
get a bit more.
Happily, I will do so. And get a dirty 20.
You can hear. It's not voices. It's just. It's like shuffling, sighing. There's definitely two people on the other side of this door.
I will turn to the group and just give them a very sudden and very short and terse shh. There are two people on the other side of the door. They
I
don't.
was about to do a hand gesture, but I wouldn't see it.
They don't sound immediately dangerous, but we should try and get up to the door as quietly as we can, and I'll try and listen a little more before we go through. Okay?
Leah, perhaps you should remove your elven chain to be quiet. Oh, you already have.
Wow.
Well done, Leah. Good forethought.
None of us get the opportunity to make fun of Halifax for his sacrifice.
No, I suppose
Because we don't even know.
No one
We
knows.
don't even know
It'll be interesting when that comes up, though.
for sure.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we're gonna try.
Stealthy?
We're gonna try and get a little closer. Should we do one of those fancy group checks that Drew was talking about during the
I mean,
other
just
episode, or
all
whatever?
roll stealth and see how it goes.
Just all roll stealth. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a dirty 12.
You're a dirty 12.
Nice.
Your mom.
Nice. I have a
That's
5.
that's Eridu to Leah, by the way.
Wow.
Well, your father was a tyrant.
Low blow.
Kyle,
Yeah.
I rolled a 7.
Uh-huh. Okay. So I got a total of 5.
15.
Okay. You get to the door. It's not very far away. But when you get there and you try to listen, it seems to have gone silent on the other side.
What was my total, by the way?
Oh, that's why you were saying. Oh, but I forgot that I have your sheet. I forgot that.
I
Yeah,
wondered why you were
okay.
telling Kyle.
Yeah, no, wait, so you rolled a 7?
Yeah.
Your total's 10.
Okay.
Same outcome.
I got you. I got you. Yeah. I just totally forgot that I'm commandeering Drew's character sheet this session.
Okay, it's gone silent on the other side of the door.
Alright. Well, we should probably just open the door anyway.
I'm gonna
Alright.
stand behind other people.
Okay.
Pardon?
I'm going to stand behind other people. I have no armor.
Makes
All right.
sense.
Well,
Alright. Egner's gonna motion for someone to be right next to him in front of the door. He doesn't care if it's any one of you three.
Yeah.
Alright, Halifax comes up. Egner will hold Halifax's shoulder with one hand, and with the other hand reach out to the door and open it real quick. And the two of them are going to be standing in the doorway.
But the two of
Halifax and Igna.
Yeah.
right, okay. You pull the door open. Inside is a stone chamber. It's darker than the other ones have been, and this is like grey stone rather than like the marble that has been on the other ones. In the center of the room is a stone throne, and sitting on the throne is a woman that is the same woman depicted on the portraits outside.
We're meeting a celebrity. Oh, I'm sorry.
the people
No.
in you.
Pardon?
The
Faint?
tiefling or Fenya?
Ooh.
Fenya,
Fenya.
Okay.
I will continue
Mhm.
to say that she has locked eyes with someone who is sat across the room against the wall on the floor and seems to be bound in bright white energy. This is the tiefling that was depicted in the other pictures. Her name is Shah. Halifax would probably know that. And they are locked eyes with each other. Fenya seems to be concentrating hard, whereas Shah is a bit more. She looks almost bored. And then Fenya speaks and says, "What creatures are these that step into our hallowed halls, where none have stepped since creation?" Directed
I-
at you guys.
Want to field that one?
Wait, who, me?
How okay, blanket question for the group.
Okay.
How aware are elves historically of the lineage of mortal species? For instance, do
Broad.
we know that we are the descendants of the tiefling and the Aasimar?
Yeah, I mean, broad question. I guess that's a thing that, depending on where that kind of idea is taught, it makes sense that it would be kind of available to everyone, but I imagine it'd be kind of like an education level thing. You know what I mean? Like, you would only really learn that kind of stuff if you're like pursuing that kind of knowledge, if you're in some kind of institution where they teach you these deep kind of histories, and if you're a person in a region where you guys just kind of hang out and farm and whatever, you probably wouldn't know jack shit about the lineage of all the people on Voloheen.
So do you think maybe like a historical check of about a DC 20 would be reasonable to know that kind of information?
That's up to Carrie at the moment, I think. But for
Go for it if you want to.
Cool, I got a 19. Eridu does not know that.
You imposed your own rules, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Had you rolled before or after you said 20?
I actually rolled before. I was
Wait.
just like, I got a 19. 20 seems acceptable. I knew I had failed it. That was,
So you like rolled it, and then you're like, let me just get the number that's one higher, so I know that I fail. Like, what is that all about?
it's all about shut up your face. Okay. Now that I've taken that all off of its track of emotional momentum, Eridu is going to turn to these old beings and say, well, some of us are children of the Fae, and others are mortals of this age.
Her eyes don't shift from Shah, but she tilts her head ever so slightly, and says, "I recognize you, elf, and the Aasimar, of course, but that one."
Aigner?
The human?
Yes.
Yeah, what about me?
"I do not know a creature such as you. How did you pass through these halls?"
With great difficulty, I'll tell you that. Hell of a place you got down here.
"Well, it is necessary.
Necessary for what purpose?
Protect the world above."
Wait, did she say to protect the world above?
Yep.
Oh. Protect the world above from what? Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
From the Dahaka?
I...
That's what I was going to say.
No, from the demons. The demon scourge. I think that's the right word for that. Whatever.
Mm.
If by demon scourge you mean the tiefling race. Is that correct?
Yeah, tieflings, demons.
It was my understanding that there was some separation between the two. Are you trying to say that there is none?
Correct.
It's also my understanding that tieflings take a lot of offense when you kind of throw those words around at them. Yeah, the D words are not appropriate is the gentle way I'm gonna put that for you.
Furthermore, the Aasimar have overcome the Tiefling race. There is very little left of their empires.
Yes.
They pose no real threat.
And you have me to thank for that.
Well, thank you, but I do not see the purpose of your... Yes, it is 5e. I do not see the purpose of your protection any longer.
If I were to let this thing go, then things would shift. There would be a great war, many would die, and the demons would rise up again.
This single person would cause all of that.
Person. God. Yes.
Well, I hate to be a bearer of current political issues, but there already is war, and thousands and more are already dying.
Oh, I care not for that war. That war is nothing compared to what this would bring upon the world.
Interesting. You have a power to contain a god and care nothing for the troubles of our current people.
She
Look,
also knows nothing of our current people. She doesn't know what manner of being Aigna is. Tell me, Fania, how do you know that your efforts work?
Faith.
even Egner's a little skeptical of that.
Did your friend not just say that? It might be you. I can't remember who said it. That the tieflings are all but downtrodden and
Yes.
presence. Then I have held my faith in the correct place. She sounds more sure of what she's saying.
From our perspective in the mortal realms, it seems to have been mortal efforts that have achieved this. Now, I'm willing to concede that the disappearance of Shah aiding the mortal forces of the Tieflings may very well have scuppered their attempts at regaining tactical footing and contributed to their downfall. But you can't deny that the efforts made on the surface worlds are efforts made by surface dwellers. You seem to be taking all the responsibility, but also all the credit for yourself.
Efforts made by those above were predominantly of the ASMR persuasion. Long back before any of you young things would remember. I trapped Shah down here, thus drawing some of the tieflings' innate powers away from them, thus making the tieflings weaker and easier to control. The people above got where they got because the tieflings were depowered by these actions. I'm not trying to claim full credit, however, the ASMRs deserve the real recognition for this.
Look, hold on.
That sounds a bit bigoted.
Hold on. I gotta say something. The fact that we're even talking to this person or these people or whatever, I mean, how can you just automatically assume that they are who they claim they are to be these beings of great power. That if you know anything about this world, you know that the gods don't walk with us. They don't. It's never happened in any kind of history that that we've seen. You know, like
Very true.
the fact that we're
I
talking to these people means that they're just an illusion, or they're just regular folks, just like you and I.
I think what matters more is to what end? Do we really need to be here? Does this conversation change anything? Is there any way through or out of this room?
No, this seems to be the last room.
Okay.
During this, while this is happening, Leah, you hear a voice in the back of your head. And it says, I see you're struggling with great power. This is a different voice to the one that's speaking out loud. I understand your struggle well. I can help you.
She will think in her head without saying out loud. Who are you?
My name is Shah. I am a ancient tiefling goddess. I need your help.
Without like consciously doing this, Leah will look at the tiefling, the bound tiefling in the room.
She still looks bored, but there's like a somewhat interested sort of glint in her eye. But she's still locked eye contact with the ASMR.
What are you asking me to do? This is also in the... She's thinking this, not saying it out loud.
I need you to help me escape.
What will you do if you escape?
I will return to my rightful place among the gods, and I will be able to restore the tiefling population to their rightful power. I will be able to help them overcome the people and the forces that push them down and turn them into nothing but slaves.
And what will become of the people who are not tieflings?
I will do nothing to affect the people who are not tieflings. I personally have no reason to change anything for them. What the tieflings do once they regain their power is beyond my control, but...
And what of the Azamar?
This ASMR or in general?
All of them.
They go about their daily lives.
I understand your plight. This is far beyond me. I don't know how I could help you, or if I should.
I can feel the power within you from here. you are struggling to control something that you fear will hurt and affect those around you. It will affect those that you care about. I can feel that energy in there, and I believe I can show you a way to control it. To let you define the power rather than you continue to let the power define you. You would be able to learn how to channel that energy rather than let it affect those without your control. But to do this, I need to be released. I have no power here in these bindings. This is using up as much energy as I have just being able to send this message to you. All you need to do is to distract her long enough and get her attention away from me long enough for her concentration to break and these binds to slip for even just a second. I will do the rest.
I feel like Agnar's gonna already do that unintentionally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Leah's not going to know how to respond to that. She's going to like drag her gaze away from the tiefling and look at Fania and ask, "Did you keep them as slaves?"
They were put in their rightful place. Demons do not belong on the material plane, and if they are to exist there, then they should be subservient to us. They are barely more than animals, child. Do you not see?
They seem like people to me.
Yeah, Agnar will say something. He'll say, look, animals, yes, when you're in the middle of a drinking game with them, or you try and, do a little arm wrestling match for a couple of gold. Maybe it was the last gold that you had, until the next month's payday or something. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience, but actually I am. I know tieflings, and sure, they can be a troubled people. If I had horns too and wasn't able to wear hats anymore, that would really affect certain things, I imagine. But no, look, they're people just as much as I'm a person. And it goes to show what you know about people. You don't even know what I am, which I still don't really quite get that at all. But look, I have validity, even though you wouldn't recognize it. And the same goes to tieflings that you don't even recognize to be valid at all.
I must also say, Pena, that while it seems that we should share a kinship of mind, that I do not. I do not recognize the Azamar that you describe. We can be pious and rather full of ourselves from time to time. We can consider ourselves the superiority in any situation. But that is usually founded in great effort. We consider ourselves the best because we behave such, not entitled to lord over others, but because we have power and we wield that power justly. That's how it should be. Not this barbarism.
Then I
The
feel...
world
Oh,
Go
go
on.
No, you go.
The world has moved on without you. Those of
Well,
us
Sorry.
Those of us who belong in it know that slavery is evil, that people deserve dignity and respect regardless of what they look like. And what you are doing is wrong.
The world has moved on because of me, child. Slavery is a fact of life. You enslave the cows that plough your fields. You enslave the horses that carry you from one town to another. This is no different. It is what progresses life.
Okay, Boomer.
Oh, that's good.
And you, ASMR, you clearly do not understand your true potential as your race, and that is a shame. And perhaps you should keep your human under more control. He talks so much that it is almost impossible to discern the meaning from it.
Hold on. Excuse me. You're human? Implying a sense of possession? Implying that I am his manslave? Manservant? What have you? I don't even know what to say. Look, if you're so high and mighty, and if you're such an amazing goddess that you pretend that you are, then, I don't know, how about you show us a miracle? Isn't that something that a goddess would do?
I'm not here to entertain or perform for you mere mortals who have somehow found their way through barricades set up by gods.
I mean, they weren't that hard to figure out. I mean, maybe a little bit. Man, like,
You are but vermin in this place,
oof.
and should be put down like rats.
Look, I've been through a lot to get here, and I still don't even quite understand why we made the effort to make it all the way here. But we're here, and I didn't go through all this shit. My companions didn't go through all this shit just to be called vermin by some lady that thinks she's a goddess but probably isn't. Probably just is some grand illusion from that stupid motherfucker Finnegan.
Leah will look back at Shaw and in her head say, yes. And then she will drop all of the walls that she carefully built around herself this morning and let her anger out and direct it at the goddess.
Oh, we catch some of those waves, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you get it.
Oh yeah.
The walls are gone.
Oh yeah.
Alright, anger radiates through this room, and you see it almost hit this, like, she's a god, this goddess, like, force. And in this moment, she breaks her eye contact and turns towards Leodin. And she starts to stand, and a long blade of light appears in her hand, and she steps forward towards you. As this happens, the bindings on Shah flicker, and in a moment, this tiefling god is off of the floor as if she's been waiting for this moment for a millennia. And she moves faster than you could, like, almost faster than you can see. And she comes up behind Fenya, and instead of the light blade that Fenya has, Shah pulls out a blade made of pure blackness, and she runs it straight through the back of Fenya. And I'm going to leave it there for the break.
Yo ho ho ho! That was a little more intense than we were maybe anticipating. Some regrets, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, there will be regrets.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Maybe there was no good choice, and the best of Dungeons and Dragons moments seem to be built on that whole concept of there's no good choice, really.
Kobe Chimaru.
Oh yeah. So hey, thank you so much for joining us. There's more. Don't worry. We'll be back in about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll see how this whole aftermath plays out. We'll see you soon.